A bill that would call on the U.S. government to review its relations with South Africa has passed one hurdle, the House of Representatives Foreign Affairs Committee, on a voice vote. Now, there are, of course, other hurdles that it still needs to go through, and this bill will require the administration to report to Congress on whether or not South Africa is engaged in what they call activities that undermine the United States' national security or foreign policy interests. Let's explore this further now and speak to UNISA International Law Professor Andre Thomashausen. Prof, thank you so much. Always a pleasure to speak to you. I mean, let's first talk about your reaction to this bill.
Well, I don't think it is a surprise, because in America, it's a long tradition since the Vietnam War that Parliament, which they call Congress and Senate, that Parliament interferes in foreign policy. Because in America, people believe that decisions on foreign relations shouldn't just be the exclusive prerogative of the president. Unlike here in South Africa, where our DIRCO Minister Pandor basically does whatever she feels is a good idea without going to Parliament and discussing it with, for instance, the Foreign Affairs Committee. So in America now, Congress has taken an initiative. They're basically saying we disagree with the support given by the United States to South Africa, who've chosen to have other allies and to actually work actively against American interests. And we would like to pass a law that will force the president to reduce American engagement with South Africa. Whether this bill can go beyond the committee stage and then actually get a majority and then still get the consent in Senate, that's a very open question. A lot of lobbying will take place because there are a lot of American corporations, about 600 of them, that are doing very good business in South Africa.
And how concerned, if at all, should South Africa be?
Well, the Carnegie Foundation, who analyzes a lot of these international economic issues, has determined that AGOA currently supports about 2.7% of South African exports. And that is equivalent to about 0.1% of South Africa's GDP. So the economic impact of AGOA not being renewed for South Africa would actually not be that severe. In absolute monetary terms, of course, it is about $13 billion that we export to America on the basis of the customs exemption. Essentially, AGOA gives us a customs exemption for our products when they go to America. The main beneficiary today is the fruit and wine industry, and of course the motor assembly industry in South Africa, because the South African market for cars assembled here in South Africa is small, so most of their production is actually exported, and most of it goes to America.
And Prof, those who introduced the bill are accusing South Africa of what they call acting in contrast with its non-alignment stance, and also accusing the ANC-led government of siding with what they're calling malign actors. Your thoughts on this?
Well, it has also been quite a long time coming. America started getting very irritated at South Africa's very demonstrated friendship and support for Russia, a lot of rhetoric, maybe not necessarily from the government, but certainly out of ANC circles that invoke the revolution, they invoke the deep solidarity between Russia and the ANC during the liberation wars, and of course also China, whilst America feels that the military operation that Russia engaged in Ukraine, and also the annexation of the Crimea, constitute acts of aggression prohibited under international law, and they expected South Africa as a country mainly integrated with Europe and America and Canada to support America in its attempts through sanctions and politics, international politics, to show to Russia some limitations, some borders. This hasn't happened. South Africa has continued its relations normally. Yes, President Putin didn't come to South Africa when we had the BRICS summit, and America appreciated that, and Secretary of State Wally, when he was here not long ago, praised South Africa for that. But yes, there has been a difficult relation surrounding those international relations preferences. South Africa has always maintained that it is a non-aligned country. It is entitled to have its preferences and to play its mainly moral voice in the international arena. When this all boiled over is, of course, on the 7th, after the 7th of October, when there was a horrendous terrorist attack on the territory of Israel, which caused more than 1,000 dead and the hostages that were taken, when South Africa, only 2 days after that, sent its Minister of International Relations to Tehran to have a very cozy and a very long meeting with the head of state of Iran. And America considers Iran maybe the worst rogue state in the world, which denies the most basic rights to women, which has cruel and medieval forms of punishment, hanging people from cranes and public for small offenses, like women not wearing a head, not covering their heads in public, and similar things. So this has made the relations more difficult. The recent visit of Minister Pandor to Washington has done absolutely nothing to repair this. On the contrary, because in Washington, she saw fit to say that she has no knowledge of Iran having a bad human rights record. So this has really actually put a bit of fuel into the fire.
All right, let's see then how it all unfolds. Prof, thank you so much for your time this evening. That is UNISA's International Law Professor Andre Thomashausen.